Welcome to the Public Opinion Court, where the truth ain't reality, but opinions are. Listen, I hope y'all are having an amazing Tuesday. You know, it's hot out here where I'm at, and I got to get into the tea with y'all on what it's going to look like for my girl Sha'Carri Richardson, the track superstar, the reigning world champion, who is actually getting ready to defend her title in Tokyo in September. But before we get into it, y'all know what to do. Make sure you are following my social media pages that was linked in the beginning of the video. Make sure you are liking and subscribing. I am 2 people away from making it to 500, which is my goal, so that I can monetize my page. So which 2 of you are going to push me over? Listen, I love y'all because y'all have really pushed me over to the next level. And I'm super excited because I love doing this. I love giving y'all the breakdowns of the news. And listen, y'all show up for me. And I know y'all gonna show up for me and give me these last 2 so I can release that LA vlog that is giving you behind the scenes on what it looks like to pitch a project with major production companies. And you do it as one of us. Yeah, y'all go ahead and give me them last 2. So, as I stated, we are going to be reporting on my girl Sha'Carri. So let me go ahead and bring her and her boyfriend to the stage. Now, we know Sha'Carri and Coleman have been dating for 2 years now. Sha'Carri and her man, because he's a good man, Savannah. He's a good man, Savannah. Had a public dispute. However, they are both track superstars, successful in their own right. Just from the looks of their relationship, like you can tell that there is a genuine sense of love, genuine sense of care, affection, and baby, they didn't last 2 years. So if they didn't last 2, they got to tell you something has been going on right that ultimately led to something going wrong on July the 22nd. So I wanted to break this down for you all because I love Sha'Carri. I love her for more reasons than one. She grew up in Oak Cliff. I grew up in Oak Cliff. I went to Carter High School, and it's nothing like getting out the mud in Oak Cliff, Texas, baby. If she not from Oak Cliff, Texas, baby, she is for the streets because they don't make them like us, and they don't make them like Sha'Carri. And I want to come from a place of support and not tearing down my sister because I'm my sister's keeper over here. So with that, I wanted to break down what happened, what she's looking at, and what is the likely outcome. As a former, not only misdemeanor, but felony family violence prosecutor, I felt it was my duty to show you all what an assault that has a domestic violence element looks like. And in this case, we have to lower our expectations because the victim did not want to talk to officers. And victims oftentimes in a family violence dispute, they do not have to give a statement because sometimes it's that neighbor, their friend, that family member that is calling to report a dispute. And by the time law enforcement get there, both have decided like, hey, we're not going to say nothing. However, by law, officers are required when there is an assault to investigate and find out who was the aggressor in order to report, document, and file charges. So in certain cases, you have the overzealous officers. In certain cases, you don't. But in this case, I feel like it was a mixture of overzealous, but I also feel like based on the statute in Seattle, Washington, the officer was left with no other choice than to arrest one. And being that there was proof that Sha'Carri was the aggressor, they had to do their job. Because, baby, I was ready to come in guns blazing about Sha'Carri. I was like, you aggressive officer. Mr. Officer, you're doing too much. But then I had to go read the law, and I was like, you're not doing too much. Shit. So let's go ahead and get on into it. But like I said, as you are migrating in, make sure you are liking, subscribing, and following both pages. And, I'm trying to get to that 500 so I can get monetized. Y'all want to help us out. So, as we know that the incident occurred on July the 27th, 2025, where Sha'Carri Richardson was arrested at the Seattle International Airport after a physical altercation with her boyfriend and fellow track athlete, Miss Christian Coleman, at a TSA checkpoint number 4. Let me tell you something. It ain't nobody in the world is going to have me fighting at the airport. Baby, they don't play. They got eyes, ears, noses, feet, every kind of body position, body part. They got them all over TSA. And I'm like, I ain't doing nothing in TSA that I don't want TSA to hear me up about. Baby, I ain't even raising my voice. Like, I done had instances where this dude rushing through TSA broke my iPad. Baby, I was fuming. Oh, I wanted to knock his lights out. And then I said, it's only going to cost you $50. $50 that he need to give me. You can't go to jail. So I just went on by my merry way. I was pissed. I couldn't watch my iPad on the plane. So I was just like, you know what? It's not worth the jail night. And so with Sha'Carri being arrested at the airport, they got cameras everywhere. So this is what has been alleged. The couple began to have an argument in the airport. During the altercation, Richardson allegedly shoved Coleman into a wall, grabbed his backpack, and threw what appeared to be headphones. TSA and airport police intervened after witnesses observed the aggressive behavior. Richardson was arrested at the scene and charged with fourth-degree domestic violence assault. Coleman declined to press charges, but law enforcement proceeded based on the visible evidence and public safety concerns. She was booked in a jail in Des Moines, Washington, and released the following afternoon. So she had to spend about 19 hours in custody before she was released. So let me give you a little, when the officers say that they had to arrest based off of the evidence that's present to the visible eye as well as public safety, is mandated. It's mandated, and because this was at an airport, it'll be different if it was at Popeyes. Baby, we gonna be eating it. Let us get our chicken and go. We can finish this at home. We gonna eat our chicken and we gonna be all right. No, it was at an airport. So, what is the law? What is the law, y'all? Well, the law is in Washington State, an assault is a fourth-degree domestic violence charge. Yeah. It's the lowest level charge in a DV. It is the lowest level charge in a domestic violence dispute. So if you are in Texas, I'm going to give you an example about Texas. Texas, this would be considered a Class C misdemeanor, which means that it's like a ticket. However, you still got to go to court. You still got to appear. You got to do all these things in order for you to not end up with it on your record. The only catch in Texas, and Texas is very aggressive about assaults, it comes with affirmative finding of family violence. That means that, baby, you can't do nothing. You can't get a job. You can't be a lawyer. You can't be a doctor, nurse, carry a firearm. But we're not in Texas. But think of it as a Class C ticket, a case that can be easily solved with some things we're going to talk about. So in Washington, they say it still carries serious consequences, especially when designated as DV. Here are the legal elements, because I wanted to go over the legal elements because it's a class C or below, a misdemeanor, B or A, when there is no element of pain, because a lot of assault cases carry the element of pain. So the legal elements is to convict someone of assault in the fourth degree, the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant intentionally touched another person in a way was harmful or offensive without lawful justification or consent. Based on the allegations of it being on video and the aggressiveness behind the alleged push, that's all they needed. It doesn't have to be pain. Listen, when you touch someone and it's offensive, if you touch me and I'm offended by it, baby, call a popo. Y'all better be careful who y'all putting your hands on. You better be careful, because then the little thing can clock you. So that is one of the ways that they was able to get her with no real evidence. That video was the only evidence that they needed. They didn't even need Coleman, as you can see. They label it as domestic violence if it is a roommate, a romantic partner, an ex-spouse or spouse, relative, blood, or marriage. Yeah, if your brother-in-law, y'all family. Y'all ain't gotta like each other, but y'all family. Should have told your friend, your sister, your brother, I don't like them. We don't like, they can't be part of family. We don't like, send back to sender, they mama. So that is the easiest way. However, does it always end up in DV? No, because they can drop the DV aspect. Does the prosecution have to prove pain? No. In Washington, physical pain is not required to prove a fourth degree assault. It's so minimal. That's why I said it's like a Class C ticket in the state of Texas. Touching alone can be enough if it's offensive or aggressive. And can we all agree that a push in the manner and means that they said it allegedly happened can be offensive and aggressive? We can all agree to disagree on it if you ain't got to. So here are some of the examples of assault. When you shove someone, spitting on someone, throwing something at them, slapping a phone, grabbing a backpack aggressively. If the alleged victim feels fear, is startled, or perceives it as aggressive or unwanted, that can be and meet the threshold. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. And I'm going to give y'all another example, because when I was a municipal court judge, I had this case come through overnight. I worked the overnight shift. I love working from midnight to 8 in the morning. That's where, baby, I was doing my big one with them large caseloads that would come in. So I had this one probable cause warrant come in, and it was a guy had an assault, had a interaction with his roommate. They got into it. 2 grown men. Why did that officer? Now the man threw a piece of ice cube at his roommate. The officer arrested him for a Class B misdemeanor. I called that officer. I said, listen, where do you get misdemeanor assault, family violence from a ice cube? I said, under no circumstances am I accepting this. Come and pick this up and come get this man. We're not doing this. I said, you could have at least did a Class C. I would have considered that, but for a piece of ice, and the biggest element in a misdemeanor in Texas is pain, baby, I'm not one of them. Come and get him. Recall this. We're not doing this. Not on my watch. And guess what happened? Do as you told and not as you want to do. I don't care who it is. Period. And that's called making sure justice is handed out the proper way. And sometimes the proper way is dismissing cases and making sure the officer know this is not what type of time we're on under my watch. So, overview. The victim does not want to testify or press charges, but what did we learn with the law in Seattle, Washington, is that video is sufficient. That shoving, the pushing was aggressive in their eyes, but they still have to meet their burden and prove beyond a reasonable doubt. They do. What are the penalties? For gross misdemeanors, up to 365 days in jail plus a $5,000 fine. There can be a no contact order. All family violence cases automatically have a no contact order and should. Some Class C don't. So since this is a lower level, it may or may not. Loss of firearm rights for the duration and required DV treatment programs. So I'm going to tell you all my predictions, but I am going to let you all hear from the victim himself.
I'm in the business of just like extending grace and mercy and love. And I feel as if like I don't try to look at obstacles either. Like I just look at like situations like this to just like, take a step back, analyze yourself mentally, and then just try to see what you can do to be your best self so that you can move forward, so you can just be the type of person and the human that God needs you to be for his kingdom and for his glory. And so that's kind of how I look at the situation. And I hate the narrative too of just like, it's so negative. But like I said, it's just like in the state of Seattle, even talking to the cop or whatever, he was just like, it really was nothing I could do. And just like, I understood. But I mean, like I said, it was just a sucky situation. But she's a human being and a great person. And I feel like, like we've been able to be like really good teammates like all year. And I hate that narrative too because, us coming together, like we're just two like real dominant personalities. And she's, to me, the best female athlete in the world. Like I see it every day. And like, for me in my process, like I just said, like moving training groups, a whole new environment, a whole new, training setup, different than what I've been in the past, like, 10 years of my, track and field career. And transitioning and then still coming back running 9.8 and feeling like I got so much more to give. Like that's my path and that's my journey. And like being so up close and personal with her every day. And like I watched this girl like fall on the track like in February and walk it off like it was, like a cramp, but get back up and have to take like a month and a half of just like rehab and trying to come back. And then 3 weeks later like have a competition and like, like she just has a lot of things going on and like a lot of emotions and forces going on inside of her that like not only I can understand, but nobody can, because she 1-on-1 and I'm 1-on-1 too. And so I know everything is happening in God's plan, because obviously he's 1-on-1. And so that's really the main focus and the thing that I just wanted to say. And I know that like it's been a tough journey for her this year, but she's gonna bounce back. And like I said, I see it every day. She's the best female athlete in the world, and she's gonna be just fine. She's gonna be good, and I'm gonna be good too. So it is what it is. Appreciate y'all.
I appreciate him for that, because as an individual who has been identified as a victim, you don't have to take the high road, but he understands what she's dealing with. And women do it all the time. Women have the same disposition when things like that happen when they're in a relationship. I appreciate his vulnerability, his transparency, and his faith. Because for him to have that level of maturity and be able to articulate and know that at the end of the day, there is only one person in control, and that's God. Now, we didn't know that Sha'Carri was dealing with all of these health issues with her trying to get back on the track, but now it makes sense. Sometimes we overprocess, which means that we overreact and we project onto the people that love us the most. Does it make it right? No. I think for Sha'Carri, this is just another learning experience that she's going to have to grow through and learn from. I just hate that the narrative with her being such a mega super athlete that she doesn't get the privacy to deal with it. I pray that she's in therapy. I pray that they're both in therapy. And ultimately, I do believe that this case will be dismissed based on her taking steps towards to show that she can be rehabilitated by taking DV classes, by taking anger management, showing them that she's in therapy, doing some, DV community service work. She will be just fine. But it's her mental that has to survive this, because she has less than a month to be ready for the world championship title rematch, for her to determine, for us to see if she's going to regain the title of world champion in the 100-meter track and field championships that are in Tokyo, Japan. So I'm hopeful. Like I said, I have no doubt that she's going to be okay. They're going to be okay. Keep them in prayer. Keep them lifted. They're a young, dominant couple, and they do have things that they can grow and learn from this situation. And I'm confident that she's going to learn. Every time Sha'Carri has been faced with an obstacle, she has bounced back and she has grown and evolved. And I love that about her. Never being afraid to accept fault, take accountability, responsibility, and do the work. So with that, make sure you are liking, subscribing, and following the page. And also let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think she deserves a second chance? Put it in the comments. Do you think that Sha'Carri deserves a second chance? After hearing what I have educated you on regarding the law in Seattle and the case in itself, and hearing from Coleman, do you think she deserves a second chance? I do. God does as well. And I hope y'all heart see that as well. But until next time, y'all have a good evening.